Thank you for joining us. My name is Philippe. It is a pleasure to welcome you here to hear more about Cisco Secure Email. I've been in Cisco for 14 years, been doing lots of things. Probably the most known one was being the technical lead for Web Summit that was held here in Portugal for numerous years. And we welcomed over 65,000 people. I've been doing a lot of things at Cisco Live as well. So if you're listening to those things, or did you go to the last one, which was held in Barcelona? Unfortunately, majority of events has been virtually nowadays. Hopefully, we can come back to the in presence ones. I have a beautiful daughter, 10 years old, Emma, and we do a lot of things together. We cook together. We used to travel a lot. Hopefully, those days will return as well. Enough about me. I always like to start setting the stage. What are we seeing in terms of threats? How is the threat landscape evolving? And definitely one report that helps us is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They call it the Internet Cybercrime Report, ICR or IC3. And you can find that online. We are expecting the newest one, but this was released last year and reports to the losses in 2020. And we saw a shift in the threats. We saw a shift in what was really causing customers pain, financial pain, and business email compromise totaled almost 2 billion losses, which really make everybody think what is going on, how can we better protect it. Business email compromise, typically identity deception, account takeover. Also, we are looking at brand deception, things that really are not that easy to mitigate, but at the same time, pretty much everything starts via email. Phishing is still there, malware, ransomware is still there as well. Actually, today, Portugal has been hit. Vodafone, a known provider, has been reporting that they have been hacked, they have been phished. So we are waiting on the latest news, but this is not something that happened to somebody else. It's happening today. It's happening to our service providers. It's happening to each company. So we need to see what's going on so we can better protect each other. The introduction is obviously to also tell you that there's been a lot going on regarding the security of email and within Cisco. Ever since we released Ironport, we acquired Ironport probably more than 10 years, 12 years, 13 years ago. We did a lot of filtering inbound, reputation, connection, leveraging context adaptive scanning engine, which is basically three engines, the anti-spam, the Graymail, and the outbreak engines working together so that we can look at the email on a different way, obviously protecting you from known viruses, applying that knowledge to what's going on with the email in terms of content, and of course, leveraging the biggest non-governmental threat intelligence network in the world, Talos, to provide you a quick response to zero-day threats, outbreak threats. So here we can see the outbreak filtering being powered by Talos as well. On the outbound, we still apply case, context adaptive scanning engine. Obviously, we still have the antiviruses, but we provide you means to prevent data exfiltration. So data loss prevention is there to prevent anything from leaving that network that it shouldn't. At the same time, if you do need to send sensitive information out, obviously we provide the CRES, the Cisco registered envelope service, providing you end-to-end encryption. Why am I showing you this? Because I want you to be aware that a lot has been going on. What is email security today is far more than anything that you've obviously expected, hopefully. And I'm not here to explain each one of them in detail, but I really wanted you to understand that we've been adding a lot of these engines, as I've talked a little bit in the previous slide, but we added other ways like the one that is our topic today. How can I better protect against phishing? What is the mechanisms that I can leverage from Cisco? And here you can definitely see phishing defense, which is more focused on behavior, where everything else here is trying to stop what is potentially bad. Phishing defense is going to create a trend line, a baseline of good behavior, people sending emails to you, what is the good sender behavior, and if anything deviates from that trend line, that baseline, obviously we need to alert, we need to remediate, we need to do several things. Uh, Phishing defense, domain protection, the secure awareness piece, the training, the phishing simulations, they were launched quite some time ago, for the 1st of June 2018, so that was a long time. They have been evolving, and they're additions to what you can buy from the secure email. So they're complementing the offer that we have for customers that really feel they need to be on the lookout for more strategic threats. And as I've shown you in the beginning, according to the analyst reports, business email compromise is definitely something that we need to bear in mind. All of this is being obviously glued together by our XDR approach, SecureX. This is something that comes with our offers. You don't need to pay additional for that. So any security offer from Cisco will bring SecureX, which is bringing you a way to integrate different dashboards, a way to accelerate the detection, the investigation, and of course the remediation piece. Today, we are definitely going to focus on the phishing defense and explain to you a little bit more about that. Domain protection and phishing defense were launched at the same time, June 2018, and they came into play for a couple of reasons. So the domain protection one is easily explained by the brand protection. Pretty much a lot of phishing campaigns go out there pretending to be someone they're not, because they're finding reputable company names, brands that they can exploit to make sure that users will open their emails. So we need to better protect that. That is following the DMARC reject, so domain-based message authentication reporting and conformance reject, which is basically giving you a way to define policies to the world, at the same time making sure that you get reports on what's happening to your email. So if I tell the world, these are my approved senders, if you receive emails from anyone not from this, please feel free to reject. That is going to better protect your brand. Phishing defense comes specifically to address that biggest threat that I shown you. 2 billion losses is a huge financial impact in the world economy at the same time, and in each company being affected as well. But it also affects everything else, right? It affects their brand, it affects their reputation, it affects their day-to-day jobs, it affects everything. So from the attack that I just told you that happened this evening, so yesterday evening, all services, phone services, mobile services, internet services from Vodafone shut down. We were completely locked down in a technological island, not being able to contact anyone. So that is really self-explanatory to what we need to address. And here, phishing defense comes specifically to complement the offer that we already have, and to look at things from a different angle, making sure that maybe something went through, something slipped, something that doesn't have an attachment, doesn't have a URL, so it's going to really be more impactful. So phishing defense, formerly known as advanced phishing protection, is here to protect your inbound direction attacks. But not just that. It's going to look at your internal mails, it's going to look at trends, it's going to look at all that. So hopefully that was understood. So let's dig deeper into what we're trying to understand. Yes, the landscape threat has been changing. The threat landscape has been changing. We've been evolving. Spam is an old thing. It still happens, but it's older, and very efficiently we can block it. but then more crafty social engineering. And just as I was saying, an email without a specific URL or an attachment, something just plain text. How do I analyze that? So a traditional email solution is not going to fit. You need something that goes beyond that, that leverages natural language, that understands the purpose and intent of the email, that really goes deeper into the sender recipient model so that we can actually understand, is Philippe sending emails to me? Has he sent emails before? Is he a known source, or is he someone that typically is trying to send malicious things? So all those things are going to play a big part into identifying who is trying to spoof something, who's trying to pretend they're someone they're not. There's typically four impersonation techniques that we see. The first one is the exact address spoof. It can easily be thwarted, stopped by DMARC. That's why I brought up domain-based message authentication reporting conformance, which along with SPF, Sender Policy Framework, and DKIM, Domain Keys Identified Mail, are used today to mitigate spoofing. That has also another view, which is the lookalike domain. I can buy a domain that looks like Cisco.com, and instead of a CISCO, it's going to be a C1 SCO, for instance, and that is going to provide a chance of delivery because I'm gonna look at it and say, this looks convincing, but it also is something that has some cons. The display name spoof is something easy. Anybody can do it, as we call it in the security industry. A script kiddie can change the display name. So it's not the most known. Oh, still, we see it a lot. And the compromised account is probably the most difficult from all of these to stop. It does make a challenge on how do I know it's a compromised account? What are the telltales? So that's something that I'm going to talk to you about. So what does phishing defense brings to the table? Well, it brings you an automation piece, which is going to look through a variety of policies. It brings you to that place where I'm going to see if there's a display name imposture, if there's an account that is trying to send something that it shouldn't, so probably an account takeover. I'm going to look at who are my top level executives more targeted. I call them highly valued targets. So those highly valued targets need to be better protected because they will be the ones that the attackers will go after. All of that is done automatically. You can import directly via Azure AD, and at the same time, you can maintain that sender-recipient relationship. In terms of when things are delivered, what I can do is typically identify if anything is at risk, confirm that a certain threat has been sent. How can I contain it? So remediation, both on demand and automatic, if it hits a policy, is there to better protect you as well. In terms of other features that you might be interested, we have something called insider impersonation protection. This provides a view of all mail flow pieces, the incoming, the outgoing, the internal, making sure that the direction is also available in search and policy criteria. And we can definitely have a better idea if I show you an example. So here, what we have is a compromised employee, an account takeover. And basically, this compromised account is trying to spoof, is trying to deceive other coworkers, and we can immediately find that out via the policies, via that trend line that we created, that good baseline of a sender. And because this compromised employee is going to try to do malicious things, that is going to trigger something that will automatically or on demand, as I mentioned, can remove malicious emails from the inboxes, alerting the security operations team at the same time. The other thing that we have is something that we call CDR, continuous detection and response. Basically, that baseline that I've been talking to you about is continuously monitoring, continuously updating indicators of compromise, and has the ability to actually do something based on rules, based on that input that we are receiving. So here we can see the feeds, the active rules that we have, if there's going to be messages discovered through those rules. So even latent threats that may be in the inbox, we can see it. So phishing defense is going to look at the emails coming in. It's going to constantly have that communication with Cisco Talos, third-party intelligence that is going to feed the models as well. And at the same time, being able to trigger an action, maybe an automatic remediation, maybe an on-demand remediation of something that is malicious and shouldn't sit in a user's inbox. Last but not least, there is a neat integration of this add-on, as I mentioned, this phishing defense capability focused solely on business email compromise to integrate with our email security gateway. So before extra sensors, VMs, no integration in reporting, today the email can be its own sensor, can be receiving and sending things to phishing defense. The other piece is obviously the dashboard. I want something that is unified. I don't want to be jumping from one platform to the other. And it's time for a demo. You're probably already tired of listening and you want to see something. So I always like to show. So let me change back here to APP. So here we have advanced phishing protection. So let me snooze my webinars for 2 hours. So here you can see advanced phishing protection. We have here the main dashboard. On the right, we have the amount of messages coming in. So we see messages from 215 domains, and we received almost 200,000 messages. Obviously, for an admin to look and swift through all these emails, all these domains, all these messages is not the easiest job. So what we've done is create some nice buckets on the left with CDR, with the specific attacks that we see for business email compromise: individual display name imposture, brand display name imposture, compromised account, domain spoofs, lookalike domains, etc. And this focuses the attention of the admin on something that it needs to have a look on. Cisco Email Security already cleaned the email to the best of its abilities. Something probably went through. I want to know what it is. I want to find out what else can I pick up. The quadrants, the bubbles signify emails. The bigger the bubble, more emails coming from that domain. The bubbles should ideally float from here to here. Why? Because on the bottom, we have the domain reputation. Higher to the right, the bigger, the best domain reputation. The upper I go, the more authentic I believe this email to be. So ideally, bubbles would float here. That doesn't mean there's not going to be red bubbles, which I already see here, potentially harmful here in this quadrant. Why? Because can be an account takeover, and we see 55 obviously as a demo account, but it's clear to see. I can click anywhere, it's going to focus on. I can click back, I can click specific bubbles, so all that works. Here, I can focus on the attacks. So I can click on show me where you're seeing individual display name imposture. And I'm seeing individual display name impostures coming from Gmail, which doesn't really sound odd because it's very easy to change the friendly from on Gmail. You can click the bubble, as I said. You can click the show messages. Now I'm clicking show messages. I'll show you the other one in a bit. It takes us to a search engine where I can immediately see an easy way to search for things, the from, the subject, if there's attachments, if there aren't, dates. But more important than that is to know that this search engine is really API driven, so you can query it, you can feed this information into your preferred SIM or SOAR. It is filtering on a specific attack. I can change it here as well, and I can click on the first one just for you to have an idea how it looks. The first thing we see is the type of attack that it was discovered. Obviously, there's much more information here, the subject, the message ID, etc. But what I'm really focused is on knowing exactly why. So the authenticity seems good, as well as the domain reputation. So we do believe this message to be authentic. However, there's something that is odd. And what is odd is explained here. So the display name portion, also known as the friendly from, matches or closely resembles what we call fuzzy matching, a specific name that we have as a high value target. That is a list that you can change, consult. So although SPF passed, DKIM passed, EMARC passed, because the email is actually coming from Gmail, which is a known reputable domain, the message itself is trying to portray to be someone which resembles a potential high value target. So if I click on the list, so everything here, you can see that name is existing here on the specific list. So I know that something fishy here. Bear in mind, I can add names manually, but I can also link them through Azure, as I mentioned during the presentation. So the other one that I typically like to show is a compromised account. Being this a demo, yes, but it does show you how it looks like. At the same time, most of the customers we have running demos, POVs, they immediately find things within these buckets, and they're immediately excited about the product. So here I can see a few things. So let me click on a specific one. And again, the search engine, these are examples. But if I look at this, it says compromised account. Why? And in this particular case, it's because of geolocation. So a customer in Switzerland, like yourselves, it's probably going to find odd that a service or a server or sending emails, or a person sending emails, an account sending emails from Portugal, let's say. So they would find it really odd that's happening. It's very crucial that we have the geolocation piece. It could be something else. Another example for account takeover would be a sender that typically sends nice emails, good emails. Philippe sends emails to you, 40 emails, 50 emails a day. It doesn't matter. It's going to create that baseline, that trend. But then all of a sudden, I start sending thousands of emails, or I start sending malicious URLs, or I start sending things to the CXO of other companies. Those things will start to trigger alerts, will start to bring in attention of the machine learning model. Obviously, this tool is intelligent, but you can definitely fine tune it. So we do have a feedback here that you can further enhance to say you're wrong, this is actually a legitimate message, or you are correct, this is an attack, but it's a different type of an attack. So this exists to provide feedback. It doesn't change immediately what it thinks this email is, but it's definitely going to start learning from the way you help the tool to classify it. Last but not least, where do I find the policies? Here, well, not last, I have one other thing that I want to show you, which is the reporting. The policies come by default. Obviously, you can create your own policy. You can define and alter and tweak and customize each of the policies that come by default. One of them is obviously the brand display name imposture, the compromised account type, the lookalike domains, the executive impostures, where we were already touching with the C-level imposture, but you can have much more. So another one is obviously on top of the customization that you can add is the capability of the platform to learn by itself. One example of that is the top partners and vendors. So the top partners and vendors, as you can see here, is an automatically generated group. And basically this looks at who is sending emails, who do you communicate the most, and then obviously this starts adding names so that you have a list of that good baseline. If you're happy with it, perfect. If not, you can remove them. You can manage your senders as well. So if I want to create a rapid DMARC list without publishing DMARC records, DNS DMARC records, I can come here, I can choose senders, I can definitely add this company, this domain that is a trusted sender. I don't know why it's taking so long. Could be my internet is suffering. Everybody hearing me fine?
Yes, we hear you.
Perfect, perfect. I for a minute I thought I lost. Thank you so much for
I
confirming.
think it works.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah. Fortunately, I have a different internet provider, but because of the news, we are all on alert, trying to see what's happening. In terms of what's happening here, it's like I said, I can publish, I can say this company, Cisco.com, is an approved sender of mine, is a trusted sender. So even though it's not an SPF, even though it's not a DMARC record, we can start creating that baseline of approved senders, making it easier to manage everything from the platform. As I said, we're going to finalize with the reporting capabilities. The reporting capabilities can show you the trends, how many messages overall, how much spam from those messages, how many attacks, policy matches, which attacks have I seen the most, compromised accounts, domain spoofs, lookalike domains, and which policies were hit the most. So I can find exactly what's going on in terms of threats. How can I fine-tune my security to stop them? There's also an executive summary where you can see how many attacks were found, how much am I saving by deploying this platform. This is all tweakable, so you can edit the values, change this, and make it more relevant to your business, what you believe it could be a potential risk, and then maybe create a business case based on what you are defining yourself. Then a comparison with the industry, how better attacked, less attacked am I? In terms of what I can also do is show you now the awareness piece. The awareness is critical. And why is it critical? It's not just Cisco saying, I believe every company out there, if they don't have a security awareness platform or program in place, they will have very soon, because it's critical to say each one of us plays a huge part in the company's policy. It doesn't matter how much technology I throw into my house, security cameras, locks. If my daughter leaves the door open, game over. So the same goes with the technology, right? I can put a lot of technology, engines, filters. We're filtering, we're trying to the best of our abilities, but we need to educate the end users. Every CISO out there calls out the importance of a platform, of a security awareness program. They call out also the end user focuses, the human element. We also very strict on the compliance piece because it helps companies to remain compliant. And for a global execution, we need to make sure that we support multiple languages. So the platform itself is contained by a course builder, is maintained by a quiz builder, a phishing simulator, a report builder. We can send notifications via email center built in the platform. We can do the user management very easily, importing AD, all those things that you expect. We can do filter-based management. If a user needs something to go more difficult, we can do that. If a user needs to revisit something, we can do that. And providing a multilingual environment. This is all branded. You can brand it your own. You can change the logos, the colors, the fonts, whatever you need. It's very flexible platform. In the end, I'm going to explain how do phishing defense and security awareness play a big part and how do things fit. In terms of content, we have a lot of content, over 150 learning modules. Course customization is obviously available. We can do a role-based learning, high degree of interaction with gamification, meaning you can have your own contest. Who's doing best? Is it Philippe versus Anya? Or you can do it departments, IT versus HR, finance, whatever it is. We provide something called just-in-time training. Even if I'm subject to a phishing simulation and I fail, I can immediately be subject to a video, revisit this course. You need to do better, you need to do best next time. In terms of language support, that global execution, we support over 40 languages. You're going to see that in the demo that I've prepared for you as well. We provide posters, newsletters with the platform itself. You don't need to pay extra, and that is going to reinforce the learning from the end users. Last but not least, some customers do want a more detailed approach, so we can provide consultation services, help you design your own program, size of coaching, how to deploy, how to measure, those types of things. It's demo time, so changing back, I'm going to show you now the awareness piece. So all of this that you see is customizable, as well as the courses. So colors, fonts, I don't like this, I need to have a different color to match the company's branding. It's all good. We can do that. So in the beginning page, it welcomes you. You can add users, build a course, add filters, and emails. Here, obviously, we're going to start with the courses. Here is the menu. On the top right, it's the support page. The support page is going to give you access to videos, administration piece. It's going to allow you to really get your hands on with this platform. There's also the admin page, which is the one that I'm seeing, and there's also the student page, which I'll show you in a bit. So in terms of courses, I've created a few ones, but it's very easy to create. Which languages do you want to add? So let's add English. Let's add German. It's here, 2 languages. I can say which primary language it is. I can say it's this one. I can then do next. I choose a course title, example. I can choose here, need to change it. I can choose in the information security piece, which modules I want to add. And the same goes for micro learning and nano learning. What is this micro learning and nano learning? They're both high intensive bursts of content, but one is more around the 3-minute duration, the micro learning, and the other one is around the 1-minute nano learning. So that means that you're not going to saturate the end user to a point where he doesn't learn anything. So we can do short bursts of interaction. You can see videos. People learn differently, so you're going to be having text, video, reading. It's going to be hearing. It's going to be nice. So after choosing something, you can choose next, and then you're going to do save, and that is available. Once it's available, I have it here. That's why I'm not doing it. You're going to have a dashboard, which will be empty in the beginning, and then you have everything that you defined where you can, again, customize. So don't think that just because you defined it, you're not able to go back and you have to scratch it. You don't. You just need to continue, clicking this. I want to add another language. I want to add gamification because I forgot. Allow show points, whatever I want. And everything is going to still be here. Obviously, then you have the content itself that you've defined. Here I defined a lot of activities. It's going to show me in which languages is available, which activities, so 30, and what is more or less the duration. Here is 161 minutes. In terms of messages, probably remember in the platform compound, you have an email center. So here you can send notifications, you can send congratulations, you've just finished. So that is where you run it. The access, who can access it? Maybe it's restricted, maybe it's not. The content manager, who can add content. Sometimes some companies have a specific individual that can add and remove content. Which email templates you want to use for the access, for the completion, and for the reminder, because you can have reminders sent often. And then you do the validation when you can do preview, online, all those things. Once people start doing the thing, the program, then you definitely have here a good dashboard. Obviously, you also have analytics, but here it shows you who hasn't started, who is in progress, who completed it. Everything is around here. In terms of dashboards, you can definitely have a great view of a specific simulation that you sent, how many scenarios that simulation has. It's going to show you what was the total number of recipients, when did I start it, and then for each scenario, you're going to have who reported phishing. Those are going to be your champions, the ones that learned. Who didn't do anything, probably they were on a vacation, who viewed the images, who clicked the link, who opened an attachment, who completed the form. Actually, the vacation one is interesting because it's something that we're going to add. It's already in our roadmap. If you have employees on vacation, you can select them so they won't count for your stats. And at the same time, you can dig deeper, you can know exactly. We have a unique integration with this platform, and that is we can have from those that click the most. So a person like Philippe who listens to the course but then fails a phishing simulation, in the case of a real threat, would be more vulnerable. So we can feed the list of users like Philippe to the email security from Cisco. Then we can apply more strict, more stringent mail policies to those users. And that is done dynamically from the awareness platform to the email security platform. Summary, where does it all fit? So I started by explaining the threat landscape. So we have the Cisco Secure Email solution to better protect against those malicious emails, obviously leveraging the threat intelligence from Talos. But for customers that are very concerned about their brand protection, we provide domain protection. For customers that have a huge concern about business email compromise, maybe you've been affected, then Phishing Defense is definitely there to provide you. Let's forget how many emails you get. Let's focus on the threats that I'm seeing. Let's really dig deeper into what's going on. Then maybe you have visibility for internal users that you need, file mailbox. Maybe you want multi-factor authentication, endpoint security visibility. We have Duo. And the secure awareness piece comes at a high priority here because we need to change the end user behavior in order for all the other technical aspects being effective. SecureX couples all this, and it's probably providing you a comprehensive defense with unparalleled integration because it does not fit just Cisco. It does integrate dynamically with a third-party intelligence as well. Hopefully you find this introduction useful. This presentation can go into a lot more detail, but obviously we are conscious of your time and we really wanted to give you a good overview without being too much overwhelming. So if there's additional questions, just let me know. I'm happy to answer them.
Great, thank you very much, Philippe. We already received one question. Liebe Teilnehmer, Sie dürfen gerne weiterhin Ihre Fragen stellen. Bitte schreiben Sie diese auf der rechten Seite in den Chat. Die erste Frage lautet, the first question, Wie ergänzt Phishing Defense die heute in der ESA vorhandenen Erkennungsmodule? How does Phishing Defense complement on the detection engines that exist on the ESA today?
Very, very good question. Thank you so much. So basically, as I shown you before here, once we start with a secure email, we're going to look at what is malicious. Let's stop all the malicious content that we can possibly can. That is very good to stop the things that are potentially malicious, like URLs, attachments, link, whatever it is. But it doesn't address those cases where we're looking at things that don't have malicious content, just text. So that needs something that looks at behavior. That is phishing defense. That is looking at what is a good sender behavior. If you're changing that behavior, that's because you're not a good sender. That's because you're something else. I need to know more about what you are. Phishing defense complements in that sense. Let the secure email from Cisco filter everything malicious. Let phishing defense look at what is potentially missed by the other engines. Phishing defense can also be used by other mail providers. So if you don't have Cisco, if you have someone else, we can work with you to make that integration, even though you're not using Cisco email security.
Thank you very much, Philipp. The next question, könnten Sie bitte die Beziehung zwischen Awareness und Phishing-Abwehr erläutern? Could you please detail the relationship between security awareness and phishing defense?
Very good question. I tried to make it as clear as possible, but all the things that you see here, domain protection, phishing defense, specifically because the question has been that, but even the others, without this important piece would be rentless, useless, because the secure awareness the program for creating awareness in your employees, in your collaborators, in your partners is crucial for them to be aware, alert, skeptical of anything that they are receiving, on anything they are clicking, so that they can also advise an admin saying, I believe this is a phishing attempt. I believe this is an attack, so that the company can then integrate with everything that we see here, namely phishing defense, and stop those threats. So secure awareness is a crucial piece in your security program.
Thank you very much, Philipp. The next question, was sind die wichtigsten Aspekte bei der Definition eines guten Awareness-Programms? What are the main top-of-mind aspects of defining a good awareness program?
Excellent question. So first and foremost, one should look at their workforce, employees, and think about a good way of engaging them. I can give you an example that I did for a Cisco live session where we looked at Cisco. How did Cisco looked at 70,000+ employees, around 90,000 at the time, and engaged them? We started by doing little quizzes, little things, small bursts of interactive content. Don't go for big things, go for small things. We also provided the gamification piece. So whenever I watched a series of courses, I won something, and that engaged me to be a security champion within my company. The other thing is definitely about the content and the number of times you want to expose your users to that content and to phishing simulations. So less is more, and you need to first engage your workforce. I have a full series of this content in at CiscoLive.com. Make sure that you listen to that. But obviously, each company is different, each employee is different, each reality, one needs to adapt. We also provide that as CISO coaching if you're interested. If you need anything else, we have a few here key takeaways. Make sure that you visit them. Thank you once again.
Möchten Sie mehr über Cisco Advanced Phishing Protection und Cisco Security Awareness erfahren oder sollten Sie andere Security-Fragen haben? So nehmen Sie doch bitte Kontakt mit uns auf. Unsere Website lautet www.avantec.ch.